And Simbai Gold Chief Executive Officer Neil Froneman is considering moving the South African miner's primary listing to New York from 2021 after he curbs the company's debt. The surge in palladium and rhodium prices has put Simbai on track to meet its debt-to-earnings target by the end of 2020, while the rally has threatened South Africa's platinum industry. Power and water shortages, rising crime and onerous regulations are deterring investment. The CEO says the plan to move Simbai's primary listing isn't immediate and could still be 2 years out after the company has sufficiently paid down its debt. According to him, the move is driven by commercial considerations and shouldn't be construed as leaving South Africa, where some of Simbai's platinum mines could operate for more than 40 years. And on domestic commodities market, we are looking at diesel. Nigeria is the largest producer of crude oil in Africa, of which diesel is a byproduct. It has 4 refineries, but in spite of this, the country's diesel output is meager, just 0.1% of global production. So Aisha Bello, one of the research analysts with Financial Derivatives Company, will tell us why this is so. Hello, Aisha. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chimezi.
So why is Nigeria's diesel output small, even when the country is the largest producer of crude oil?
Basically, Nigeria's minus production of diesel is because of the refineries. They are operating at more than 50% below installed capacity, and that's because the refineries are old and then they've been poorly maintained over the years. So to attract investment, basically for these refineries to be revived, we need to attract private investors. But then for private investors to come into the market, you need, firstly, know that on one side is diesel, it's just a byproduct. The major byproduct of crude oil is PMS, and currently PMS is subsidized. So for investors to be attracted, firstly, the government needs to remove subsidy and also provide other incentives to attract investment into the refinery market. Also, recently, Nigeria signed a memorandum of understanding with Lukoil of Russia to produce oil, to refine it, and also trade it. I know Dangote refinery will soon kick off. They will soon start operation, and this will by the time all these are put in place, we're definitely going to see increase in production of diesel in the long run.
All right, now, according to the National Bureau of Statistics, the average price of diesel declined slightly by 0.50% as to 227 naira 92 kobo per litre. That was in September, from what we had in August, about 229 naira. So what is responsible for this decline, and what will be the impact of this on the fortunes of companies that rely on diesel-powered generators?
The diesel market in Nigeria is a deregulated market. So it's often, the domestic prices is often a reflection of movements in global prices of crude oil and global prices of diesel. So the decline we saw during that period is basically because of the decline in global prices of crude oil. But most importantly is the fact that average power supply in Nigeria has been below 4,000 megawatts for the past 4 months, for over 4 months now. So, and this has led to increase in the demand for alternative source of energy from companies. They need to, such as they use diesel-powered generators to operate, to perform well and operate optimally. So the increase in the usage of diesel-powered generators has led to increase their costs, and because this cost cannot be passed down to consumers, it have a negative impact on their earnings.
So what's your outlook for the price of diesel in the near term?
I expect the price of diesel to increase by about 20%, and that's basically because international maritime organizations they've made a regulation to reduce sulfur emissions, and that's because sulfur oxide is harmful for the earth. So this will lead to increase. There will be increase in the demand for cleaner distillates such as diesel, and once there's an increase in demand, we'll definitely see increase in prices of diesel. I know, like I said earlier, the domestic price of diesel is a reflection of global price of diesel. So once there is a spike in the global price of diesel, we'll definitely see a spike in the domestic price of diesel, and that will weigh on the cost of firms, cost of production of firms, and also affect their earnings.
All right, thank you for your time, Aisha Bello. Aisha Bello is one of the research analysts with Financial Derivatives Company. Now, above average rains in most of Ivory Coast cocoa growing regions last week have raised concerns about the quality of the beans because of the high moisture levels. The marketing season in Ivory Coast, the world's top cocoa producer, opened in early October with a new farm gate price of 825 francs per kilogram set by the government, and farmers say harvesting was rapidly picking up and large amounts of beans have left the bush, but buyers were still unhappy with the quality of the crops as the beans were too humid and sometimes moldy. According to him, the high levels of moisture were promising for a healthy harvest in February and March, but drier, sunnier weather in November could be crucial for the quality of the main crop. And for update from the equities market, here is Temple Ashaju. Hello, Temple. Good afternoon. Well, you just came out from the launch of Fintech roadmap by SEC. What will this roadmap mean for the equities market?
Mainly it's to set the context for regulations for fintechs in the market. For everyone who's involved in the trading of securities in the market via one application or the other, and for some that are coming up with some USSD transaction sort of platforms for in the capital market space. This roadmap is expected to help draw up the regulations for all of those type of technologically related transactions, and initiatives in the market. Listen carefully to some of the comments churned out by the acting Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Ms. Mary Uduk. And one key point, a key line that she mentioned is that they will ensure that regulations do not stand in the way of fintech. In other words, they will push out this roadmap as it has been done already, and it will help everyone, operators, stakeholders in the industry to feed on it and dissect it, understand what it's all about. Then it will now be amplified to the level of regulation, be gazetted and or passed to the legislators for passage. They scrutinize that, and then it will be signed by the president, and it is gazetted and all of that. So that's basically what this roadmap is going to look into in the capital market. Chimeze.
All right, let's look at today's activities. Bring us up to speed with the tradings today.
Well, we're seeing a departure from the green positive close that we had yesterday because, again, yesterday things were a little bit positive with some industrial goods and, of course, consumer goods companies that released their numbers and investors kind of reacted to them. But today we're seeing a reversal of that kind of sentiment so far. Things are down. We're down by about 0.13% at this point in terms of what the all-share index is saying, and it might drag, with this momentum to the end of the market when the market closes at 2:30. That's because there's basically not really any exciting news enough to get investors now to react with some positive sentiment in the market. Some earnings actually have also come in, but they are not so strong enough to actually attract investors in the market. We've seen that of Fidelity Bank, which looks quite okay. Sterling Bank's numbers also trickled in a while ago. And of course, more and more companies continue to release their numbers, but just a few of them, are what investors are reacting to. Seplat, I should add, is one oil and gas firm that released its 9 months numbers and is proposing an interim dividend of 5 cents. Only investors with deep pockets, are considering that particular security at this point in time. But I've not seen a price change, so far. That tells you that the interest of investors in what Seplat has delivered is yet to actually take effect at this point in time. That's for the positive. So we will continue to see how these, pan out till tomorrow, the next trading session. Perhaps by then, some investors would have also digested these numbers, because for some of them, you will have a positive Q3 2019 and a negative 29 months, actually.
Okay, Temple. Well, the market can be unpredictable. Let's see what happens at the end of the day. Thank you. That's a wrap on the program for today. Thank you for watching. I'm Chimeze Obi. You're welcome.